Folks, we have a lot of news about the fourth stimulus check that I want you to know. So you want to be sure to stay until the end of this video to find out the latest news about the fourth stimulus check. Everybody, like I said in my previous videos, more and more lawmakers in Congress are now in favor of a fourth round of stimulus payments for every single American. However, some people say that the expanded child tax credit payments are enough. So, in this video, I'll be explaining when the fourth stimulus check will be sent out by President Biden and the Democrats and even some Republicans like Mitch McConnell. Hopefully everybody, the Democrats, Republicans, and even the White House can find an agreement on the fourth stimulus check and send out the help that many Americans need.
Now look, my friends on the other side never had any problem providing $2 trillion in tax cuts for the very wealthy. Look, I don't think you shouldn't be able to make $1 million or $1 billion. I'm a capitalist, but guess what? I'm also listed for 36 years as the poorest man in the Congress. But I make big money now, I'm a president. But all kidding aside, I don't think we should punish anybody, but just pay your fair share. Just pay your fair share. You know, the issue that has been championed by Rosa for years, in the past, if you paid your taxes and had an income high enough that you were able to take the $2,000 per child deduction, you could actually write it off your taxes. But how many families do you know of cops and firefighters and school teachers and what that don't pay that much in tax because they pay a tax, but there's nothing? You say you're going to get $4,000 back for your kids. Well, you know, it's not refundable. Either it comes off your tax bill or you don't get it at all. The American Rescue Plan, which these folks voted for as well, and I'm very proud of, is a real game changer. It started our economy moving again.
So in America, you got tens of millions of people whose problems have long been neglected by Congress and by presidents, while the very rich get richer. And what we are finally saying is we're not going to ignore those problems anymore. That now is the time for us to stand up for the working class of this country and tell the billionaires that they're going to have to start paying their fair share of taxes. What we are talking about is not simply a laundry list, a wish list. It is the needs of the American people. We will no longer continue to have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. And that's why with the American Rescue Plan and those $300 direct payments, we have cut childhood poverty in America in half, and we ain't going back. We want to further reduce childhood poverty in this country. And if we don't pass the Build Back America plan, poverty for kids will go up. We have a dysfunctional child care system where working families are paying 20, 30% of their limited incomes for child care. Workers are paid starvation wages, and millions of women are unable to go to work because they can't afford child care. That is absurd. We are going to make sure that no family in America pays more than 7% of their incomes for child care. We're going to make pre-K universal and free. We're going to deal with the affordable housing crisis, which we are tired.
But recognizing the momentous weight of history that rested on his shoulders. And Chris, I came up with the same sentence from your book. Someday, he wrote, will be recognized as a great landmark in the struggle of mankind for peace. Never before has such a record been written, and men will read it for 1,000 years in amazement and wonder how it ever happened. When President Clinton spoke at this first dedication, he ended on a poignant reminder. He said, and I quote, "The road to tyranny, we must never forget, begins with the destruction of truth." The road to tyranny begins with the destruction of truth. In my view, that was the lesson at the heart of the Nuremberg trials. Finding truth, documenting it, so it could never be denied. In court, Tom Dodd built a case fact by fact, using the Nazis' own meticulous records of crimes and shocking human evidence to pin down Nazi leaders who tried to deny their complicity and feign ignorance. And even more important,
in fact, it is kind of sad to see that Democrats and Republicans cannot agree on helping out the American people with the fourth round of payments. Now folks, Social Security recipients could see a huge increase in monthly benefits very soon. And this is wonderful news for all SSI beneficiaries. So if you want to stay up to date on the latest news about the fourth stimulus check and Social Security benefits, then be sure to stay until the end of this video. Now folks, the Social Security COLA for 2022 could be the biggest in decades. However, that increase to monthly checks will not be enough. The Senior Citizens League sent a letter to members of both the House of Representatives and Senate this week. The group is ramping up its calls for new $1,400 stimulus checks to be sent at once to Social Security beneficiaries. The letter signed by Richard Delaney, chairman of the Senior Citizens League, said that we believe that a special stimulus for Social Security recipients could help defray the higher costs that some would face if next year's COLA bumps them into a higher tax bracket, causing higher tax rates on their income and surcharges to the Medicare Part B premiums. So folks, next year's Social Security COLA is projected to be at least 6%, driven by rising consumer prices. However, a different measure, the Consumer Price Index for elderly, or the CPIE, would more accurately reflect the cost that seniors face. The Senior Citizens League is also calling for legislation to ensure that Social Security could continue to pay benefits for the next 75 years. The Social Security Trustees' annual report recently showed that a combined trust fund. So everybody, a fourth stimulus check would definitely add billions to the price tag of the currently $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation bill the Democrats plan to use to push the sweeping proposals through Congress. And despite overwhelming support in the party for the measures in the future bill, the overall cost has some members calling for a reduction in its size, specifically Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, both of whom would be needed to get the spending package through the Senate on a party line vote. Through the extending the changes to the child tax credit for the 2021 fiscal year to 2025, families would continue to receive the advanced monthly payments on the enhanced tax provision, which are currently up to $300 per child under 6 and $250 for each kid 6 to 17. In a report in August, it calculated that over 12 months of the child tax credit could pump $27 billion into local economies across the country. Although more populous states would get more funds in general, the credit would have a greater impact in rural communities, which would benefit from higher purchasing power of the cash injections relative to urban areas. Joe Manchin is demanding that his Democratic colleagues prioritize which of the measures to help working families that they want in the final bill in order to get his essential vote. He wants them to choose between the child tax credit, paid family medical leave, or subsidies for childcare, unless Manchin can be persuaded to change his mind. It's one of a number of priorities that Democrats are seeking to include in their economic package